All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the February 2024 Higher Education Tableau User Group meeting. We are thrilled that you could join us this day of Mardi Gras, day before Valentine's, and not a Monday. We have one announcement we were asked to share with the group. There is an upcoming webinar on March 7th at 1 p.m. Central. This is featuring Scott Sorensen, the AVP of Data Operations and Business Transformations at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. He was going to be presenting on his experience with using Tableau Pulse pilot program. So I believe Roshi's putting that link in the chat if you'd like to sign up for that. We'd also like to invite you to come off mute and share any announcements that you might have, any job postings, or if you don't feel like coming off of mute, you can also put them in the chat or share them in our Slack channel on the open positions channel. So I'll give you a minute. Anybody have any announcements?
We're going to have a systems database administrator opening here posting in the next week. It's not higher ed, it's K-12, but we're a very big K-12 right outside Columbus, Ohio, at Southwestern City School District. And I will post a link to our website in the chat.
Great. Thanks, Robert. Any other takers? I think Lisa just posted there's a CCC HETUG meeting tomorrow. If you are not signed up for that, go ahead and fill out that registration.
I just want to share, because Lisa's not going to, that the first line of sort of the plug for it is there's lots of love in the air, because it's all about LODs, level of detail expressions, which I know are amazing, but also a pain for many of us. So it's going to be a great session. And also, I assume there will be some puns, so you will not be disappointed.
I'm planning to be there. We have one question from the group. What time is that? 1 p.m. Pacific.
Hey, Ginny. I don't think Anna from Duke is on. This is Margaret, sorry, from Tableau. Duke has an opening for an analyst, I think, in the registrar's office. And Anna posted it on LinkedIn, and then I shared it earlier this week. So if anyone's following me on LinkedIn, the post is shared there, and I can also grab the link and put it in the chat.
Great. Thanks, Margaret.
Yeah, and Anna did post it in the open positions channel in Slack as well. So,
any other announcements? All right. In that case, we'll get started with our Meet a Community member, followed by tips and tricks, which is our conference buzz. And then Roshni's going to tell us about pre-attentive attributes before we wrap up and chat. So our Meet a Community member today is Justin Boone from Georgia Tech. Justin is a proud Yellow Jacket that enjoys working at his alma mater. With over 9 years of Tableau experience, he leverages his technical expertise to support users on campus as a Tableau server administrator. So Justin, welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Glad to be here.
Mm-hmm. I'll let you start by telling us a little about yourself and describing your role and your team.
Yeah, so I've been at Georgia Tech for over a decade now. I got my master's in math here back in 2013, and then started working in the tutoring center for a while. Got a chance to teach the undergrad math courses all the way kind of from pre-calc to DiffEQ, and really liked working with students. I thought that was great. But there was a lot of need for some analytics and how the education system was running here at Georgia Tech. A lot with advising in particular, kind of how we could use the information we were gathering from all these campus advisors to kind of move forward. And so I started dabbling in Tableau around 2014, and then really used it heavily in the tutoring center with all of our visit data and everything. We collected a ton of information, and it was really good, clean data. Like I was proud of collecting this clean data, but we weren't really using it too much beforehand. And so, luckily, we have a core based license for Tableau server here at Georgia Tech, and so I could get onboarded into the Tableau server so that I could get started connecting to enterprise data sources and my data sources to combine them together. I I did a ton of that work. So much so, I think I may have complained enough that they were like, "We'll make a job where you can come and fix it." So a little over a year ago, I transitioned from the tutoring center to or the tutoring center and the math department over to IT, and now I'm the Tableau service delivery lead for Georgia Tech. We're under a branch called Enterprise Applications and Data Integrations, and so we support infrastructure for a lot of these platforms like Tableau or Cognos or reporting platforms. And also we support the like server administration side, like permissions management and user management, as well as onboarding new departments into Tableau server to be able to use the service. A pretty small team so far, but I'm really enjoying the team that I work with. I feel like I stepped into a really good spot where they had already kind of been through a lot of tests and see if it works, and then we'll kind of make up our decision on how we want to move forward. And so that whenever I came on board, they had a very good idea of what they wanted the picture to be moving forward with Tableau Server. And it's just been a year kind of implementing their ideas moving forward. So.
I think you're one of the first server administrators we've had on Meet a Community Member. If any of these questions don't really fit for your role, then feel free to tell me to skip them. But the next one is, what type of data do you work with?
Yeah, so whenever I was on the education side of things, I worked primarily with student data, which at the time I didn't realize was our cleanest type of data that we have in higher ed. Whenever you get into financials data or HR data, like it can be a bit of a mess. And so moving over to the server admin side, I got a chance to explore these other data domains, and now it's more about providing access to folks to use that data and clean it up. But I still have a place for all the student data in my heart.
That's awesome. That's what I'm most used to working with too. But can you tell us a little bit more about how you use Tableau at work?
Yeah, so I'm not so much on the report development side anymore. It's more about ensuring other people have what they need to develop reports and share. So a lot of it is permissions management, helping ensure that everybody has the access that they need and are able to publish and share and understand how we've set up our server so that they can appropriately share and not overshare information that they're trying to show. But we do get, I work really closely with an enterprise reporting team. So we get a lot of requests from the community at Georgia Tech on how do I make a visualization do this? Do we have this data source that I can connect to? How would I do that? And so at Tech, we've onboarded around 250, 270 report developers in Tableau onto our Tableau server. And so we really leverage that team for this kind of quick, like, how do I make a pie chart? Like, we don't want to explain how to make a pie chart, but you can leverage our team for that, right? And so a lot of this is how do we be sure you have the tools that you need and then connect people to their appropriate person to assess.
That is a lot of developers.
It is.
So do you have a favorite Tableau project that you've worked on?
Yeah, I think my days in academia, I had built a couple of administrator dashboards for the tutoring center in particular. It was kind of how many students were coming in, how many students were our tutors seeing, kind of what was the trend of the classes or the topics that they were running into trouble with. And we were able to adapt that dashboard to more of a faculty-facing dashboard to say, like, hey, in your classes, here are the topics that students are asking for help with. And so we could make some study groups based around the specific topics. And that just kind of took off like a rocket whenever the instructors were like, oh, I knew they were struggling with it because, I grade exams, but I didn't realize they were actively seeking help. I felt maybe it was just a difficult, topic that I may have glazed over. So I think that was my favorite because I got to see like an actionable, like, hey, you created something to meet the need the data was showing us.
Definitely. That's a whole new take on that type of data that I've never heard anyone use it like that before. So you've said that you've been using Tableau for about 10 years. How did you learn to use it?
So luckily we have LinkedIn Learning. It used to be lynda.com whenever I first started with it. And there's some great videos out there of that. Now that we have like Chat GPT and stuff, it's a game changer. Like a lot of our new developers are doing some damage, like they're able to get in and make something work. And then whenever I meet with them to kind of troubleshoot a specific issue, I'll be like, how did you do this? And they're like, I don't know, that's what ChatGPT said to do, right? And so I'm seeing this more like, if I can make it work and not touch it, let's do that. Which I like to think maybe I wouldn't do the same thing, but I'm pretty sure I would do this.
I've never asked ChatGPT a Tableau question, but maybe I'll have to now. So what is your favorite Tableau feature?
As a report developer, probably LOD. I feel like this is a safe space to say I like those. But as an admin, probably the REST API. So being able to automate some of these tasks that take a while has been really nice. Or to do audits of permissions or whatever, being able to just make a script and run it, and it'll tell me like, here's the 3 things you need to change. It's been a game changer.
That's one thing I've not tried yet, but I might have to soon. What do you want to learn more about in Tableau?
Right now, it's performance optimization. We have some reports that are kind of bogging down the server resources whenever they're being used. And so trying to figure out what can we do to optimize these workbooks more than just let's make a smaller data set, but like how can we keep this optimization kind of a standard across the board.
What's one thing you wish you could go back in time and tell Tableau newbie you?
Keep things simple. I feel like I tried to make dashboards that did everything, which were great for me, but transitioning away from my previous role, the transition of knowledge to the new folks where it was very tough to say like, all right, what was my logic for all of this again? I made it 4 years ago, and so keep things simple so that they can last longer.
I think we've all been there and done that. So do you use Tableau outside of work at all? And if so, how?
No, it's kind of a separation of church and state for me right now. If I'm using it, it's always for something that we're trying to get done in IT.
I can understand that. So is there anything else you would like to share before we get into our lightning round?
We are kind of migrating to a new setup for our Tableau server environment where we're gonna, it's similar to the blue-green deployment setup that Tableau recommends. And so I'm excited to see how this works. Hopefully we're transitioning over this Friday. And if it works well, I plan on sharing it out with everybody because it should be easier to maintain and validate upgrades and everything as we go through.
That'd be great. We'd love to see it. All right. Well, thank you for being game to answer those questions. And we're going to get into our lightning round, which, as you know, we'll ask you a question and you will give us your lightning fast answer, and we'll learn some about you. So February 12th, which was yesterday, was National Oatmeal Monday. What is your favorite oatmeal flavor?
Ugh, I don't like cookie, like oatmeal cookie.
Oh, okay. Not a big oatmeal fan, I see. That's fair. Roshi says that is the correct answer. So Today is National Radio Day. Do you listen to the radio? And if so, what is your favorite station? And if not, what is your favorite way to listen to music?
Yeah, so now that I'm working from home, I listen to it a lot less than I did commuting through Atlanta. But OG 97.9 is like Atlanta's like classic hip hop station, and love it. But for like Sirius XM and stuff, the Red Hot Chili Peppers have a station, the Whole Lot of Red Hot, that is like always on in the house.
Nice. So I mentioned earlier that today is Mardi Gras. I almost forgot, but I did see it on Twitter. Thank you, Mark Bradborn. So we'd like to know, what is your favorite Mardi Gras tradition?
The cake that they put the baby in, the king cake.
Yes, I've never had one. What does it taste like?
Delicious. I don't. It's more about like the color. But there's a bakery. There's like a what's it called? Like a Creole, like Louisiana bakery down the road from us, and they do this like cinnamon roll one that is fantastic. It's not healthy at all. It's all butter, I'm sure.
Well, I think Fat Tuesday, you're not really meant to eat healthy. So today is National Cheddar Day. What is your favorite type of cheese?
It's like picking a favorite kid. Like goat cheese, maybe.
Yeah, I would have a hard time picking as well.
Yeah.
Today is also National Wingman Day. So we'd like to know, who is your wing person? That can be in work, in life, and or in data viz.
Probably my brother in life. And then like ChatGPT in work, maybe.
ChatGPT is your wingman. Nice. February 10th through the 16th is National Hero Week. So we are smack dab in the middle of that. What makes you feel like a superhero?
Whenever something works the first time, I don't have to like troubleshoot afterwards. Yeah.
So true. February 11th, 2 days ago, was International Day of Women and Girls in Science. Who is your favorite female scientist?
The monk, the Jane Goodall, the like chimpanzee.
I love her.
Yeah.
She might be my favorite too.
Yeah.
You might have seen that February 12th through 16th is Love Data Week. What could be more perfect? So, is there anything that you love more than data?
It's Valentine's Day. I'm gonna say the wife.
Good answer. Also, correct answer. And last but not least, February 14th through the 20th is Random Acts of Kindness Week. So what's something nice that you've done for someone else lately?
We just bought a round of drinks for the kitchen staff at this restaurant we go to pretty often.
That is very nice. I bet they appreciated that. Well, that wraps up our lightning round. Justin, thank you so much for being our Meet a Community member this month. And if anyone else is interested in taking this role in a future meeting, please let us know. We have a interest form that you can fill out that Roshni just shared in our chat box. So,
yeah, thanks for having me, y'all.
Yeah.
So Justin was the inspiration for this next, or one of the inspirations for this next set of slides we're going to show. And we have a whole round of speakers talking about conferences. The whole conference buzz thing came from Justin's status as a lifelong Yellow Jacket. So we're going to just do a very quick overview and then we'll come back to the slides. So we're going to talk about HETUG, about HETW. We're going to talk about, hold on, whole bunch of scrolling. The Research Analytics Summit, Cases Drive Conference, the Society for College and University Planning Conference, and a whole bunch of airs. And there's a couple more surprises down the line. And so why are we talking about conferences? You know, it's the spring. There are a whole lot of conferences that are coming up soon. We've heard a lot of buzz about the Tableau conference, but there are so many higher ed conferences, and there's probably one for your role that you might actually, you know, learn some things from or make some good connections. So to kick it off, we're going to have Tasha from Unicon. Tell us a little bit about HETUG.
Great. Thank you very much. Nice to meet everybody. My name is Tasha Dannenbring. I'm a principal data and analytics consultant at Unicon. And I'm also a faculty member at University of South Dakota. So I kind of get the best of both worlds when I attend HETUG, because I'm pretty active in the Student Success Analytics community group, which is I'm going to talk a little bit about today. But I also attend as a corporate member as part of Unicon. So HETUG is pretty large. There's a lot of individual members. I think depending on whether or not you're from a nonprofit, a corporation, or an institution, there is a nice place for all of those different sorts of areas at HETUG. So depending on how you would want to attend, which is something I'll talk about, there are lots of opportunities for networking in all of these different sorts of spaces. So just to kind of give you a little bit of a mix, I think as somebody from either higher education, IT, or as a campus leader or stakeholder, there's also lots of opportunities for networking. So you can kind of see there's a mix of a number of different areas in teaching and learning. There's lots of CIOs that attend. There's lots of campus leaders and presidents, but there's also a lot of subject matter experts and IT professionals that attend. And I think that really allows for a lot of different sorts of presentations, trainings, panel presentations, different sorts of activities that you may want to experience while you're attending the conference. So I kind of wanted to highlight some of the different ways you can engage in HETUG. If you decide you don't want to attend the conference, there's still a lot of opportunities. I've kind of tried to highlight a couple of the areas that I have started to become active in. The Student Success Analytics Community Group, the Research Community Group, and also an EdTech Startup Community Group. So you can see there's a vast diversity, even just in the ones that I've listed here. If you go out to the HETUG website, there's many more different sorts of community groups. There's different newsletters that you can subscribe to get sorts of relevant information and research in the various topic areas. There's also lots of different types of events. So whether or not that's a webinar, a demo day, sorry about that spelling mistake. I do want to highlight a little bit of interest in the demo days as a consultant, and then also as a consumer of lots of different types of tooling. The demo days are really interesting. It's kind of 5 to 8 or 9 different products that all have a 10 to 15 minute presentation, so you can really kind of get a little apples to apples sort of comparison if you're looking for a new tool or product. There's the annual conference, of course, and then there's CG meetings, learning labs, and webinars. There's also a pretty robust library of resources that HETUG has, and that's free and available to those who are members. So something to think about. I've also had the opportunity to do a couple of publications as part of my work in the Student Success Analytics community group, the Student Success Analytics rubric and the framework. So as I kind of mentioned, I just want to highlight some of the fun things that you can do. There's panel presentations. There's poster sessions. I've found personally a lot of value for our community group in having a poster session. There's lots of opportunities to have really engaging conversations. And then if you're, on the corporate side, there's sponsorship opportunities. So this is just kind of a poster of what you can expect from a community group. I provided a PDF of this along with some of the other information to Andrew so that you can kind of see it. But just to kind of give you a flavor of all of the different ways that you can engage with a community group, it's a really great opportunity to kind of get active within whatever community is your area of expertise or specialization, or something that you might want to learn more about. Just kind of want to highlight some of the diversity of chairs that we have. I'm going to be an incoming co-chair of our Student Success Analytics community group. So if you're interested in a leadership opportunity in HETUG, there's also appetite for that. And just to kind of highlight, the goal of a community group is really to network for practitioners and to help everybody in the community improve student success through the use of analytics. So that's kind of part of why our Student Success Analytics community group exists. And of course, there's many more. Just to kind of give you a flavor of how large the community group is, we have around 900 members. Some of them community groups have fewer, some have more. Just to kind of give you a little example, we do virtual brunches and have publications. We have some different areas of focus that I kind of mentioned earlier. This is just kind of an example of some of the upcoming events that are part of EDUCAUSE. So if you're interested, leadership strategies for advancing women's leadership, there's an AI landscape study, and then there's a number of different webinars, and also a cybersecurity tool demo day. So that's everything. I'm happy to answer questions in the chat. And I can also kind of put some of my contact information in there if anybody wants to learn more.
Thanks, Tasha.
Yeah, thank you.
Up next are Jeff Medier and Dave Ball from the Higher Education Data Warehouse Group. And they are here to talk about their group and their conference.
So again, I'm Dave Ball. I'm the communication chair for HETW. My day job, or as I like to say, the job that pays the mortgages, I'm deputy CIO and director of data services at the University of Louisville. Jeff Medier is past president and is at the University of Rochester and is an avid Tableau user, so he's among his people here. So I encourage people to visit hetew.org. Membership is open to anybody in higher ed, so .edu or whatever in the country that you're in. Again, currently membership does not cost anything. Our conference is coming up fairly soon here. And again, you can go out to our website without even joining and go see conference information. It's in about a month. It's at the University of Illinois in Champaign. And again, with regards to the conference schedule, we have 44 sessions of all different types of content and everything. In terms of our content this year, we're kind of focused into 3 areas. So BI and visualization, data governance, and then data management. It's one of those things that, one of the things we sometimes talk about is, we're not just about data warehousing, even though that is a part of our name. We've been around for about 20 years. And as we evolve and as our jobs evolve, the organization is evolving with that. And so this year, for the first time, we'll have a session on AI. And also, as you see, if you look at our schedule and everything, we also have vendors that attend the conference. We are vendor agnostic. Again, our focus is data regardless of how, where, when you use it. There's a lot of people who are technical in nature. There's a lot of people who have an IR bent, and a lot of people that, depending on your organization, how you're organized, that just work with data all day. So I do encourage you to check us out. And again, membership is free. And we do, in addition to the annual conference, we also do about 1 webinar a month on various topics, and everything is member driven. We are a volunteer organization, which is part of the reason the membership is free. And so if you're interested also in getting involved, we'd love to have you, because we do have a fairly sizable Tableau presence. There's usually a few sessions each conference. We've had several webinars over the year that have a Tableau focus. But again, the focus is really on the data in general and how it's used and everything. So just a quick overview there about HEW. Jeff, I don't know if you want to add anything else there. Or...
Yeah, as part of the benefit of joining the HEDW is that we have historical content available from previous conferences, as well as submissions by people that have wanted to write articles for us. In the past, we've had actual Tableau visualization examples of certain topics: graduation, retention, admissions. We also looked at doing some of the course-centric and instructor-centric type of metrics that we would report on. And we've encouraged other schools to, provide their submissions as well. And again, as part of the data warehousing experience, we're able to have some intelligent conversations behind the scenes to understand how the data gets set up for these visualizations. As Dave mentioned, we have a Tableau presence. We've also been working on with certain of the schools. We've got Power BI presence. We have people that have migrated from Click to Tableau, et cetera. And we definitely encourage folks that it's a data sharing experience. It's a great networking experience. The conference itself is roughly 250 to 300 people. So we make time in the conference for people to actively network with each other, exchange information, be able to work on projects together behind the scenes and after the conference. So we definitely encourage you to reach out to us, take a look around. Again, content libraries go back to at least 3 years plus. So we do have stuff that could be very interesting for you and either what you're planning to do or what you've gone through or lessons learned. Thank you.
Again, our website is hew.org, so feel free to visit and click on it. And there's obviously contact information there if you have any questions. So thank you very much.
And the link is in the chat for those of you guys who missed it earlier. All right, next up is Baron Wolf from the University of Kentucky, who's going to talk about the Research Analytics Summit, which is happening in a few weeks.
Yes, thank you all. And I should be sharing my screen. We're going from David in Louisville to myself in Central Kentucky. Waving down the interstate there. I have some good news and some bad news. So the good news is that we're having the Research Analytics Summit. It is a National Science Foundation funded grant project that is all about research analytics. So it's basically taking institutional research and effectiveness type of things that institutions do and applying that to the research domain on a different set of data. The bad news is that we are sold out. So our grant had enough budget for 100 people and we have 185 people registered. So we've done some finagling. So registration is closed, but I did want to mention it. We're building a community of practice. It's not necessarily Tableau specific, although Margaret, who's on this call, supports this work and the work that I've been doing to build this up. And so you'll see that Tableau is a sponsor of this conference. So we do appreciate that support that Tableau has been able to give us. There is one other meeting. So I have another grant that is having a conference right after this one in Albuquerque. This one still has registrations open. It is a lot less data driven. It is funded by the Institute of Museum and Library Services. It is more about evaluation, research evaluation, assessment practices. And of course, in evaluation frameworks, we use data and metrics. And so some of you may be interested in this topic, but it is much more qualitative of a workshop. It's not Tableau driven, but since I had you here for a few minutes, I thought I would share this one with you as well. So these websites are live. You can learn more information about what we're trying to do here within this community to build research analytics as a profession within research administration within higher education. So thank you.
Great, thanks, Baron. Up next, we've got Jake Tolbert from Berkeley, who's going to talk about CASE. So if you are in the advancement space, you've probably heard about CASE. They have a data conference basically called Drive. So let's take a look at that.
Yeah, thanks. Like I said, I'm Jake Tolbert. I work for UC Berkeley, but I actually live in Illinois. So I was excited to see the data warehouse conference right down the road in Champaign. So I'm like less than an hour away. Now I'm like clicking links and trying to figure out, can I make it to that? That sounds great. So yeah, the Drive conference. So it's been held by CASE has held this conference for several years now. And it's really their primary conference focused around data for advancement professionals. So it's folks who support fundraising in a lot of various sorts of ways. There you can see the acronym. Drive is actually an acronym. Data Results Intelligence Value, which I didn't know until I was like, oh, I got to talk about it. I don't know why they capitalize it. It turns out the reason they capitalize it is it's an acronym. Who knew?
But what's with the slash at the end?
So I asked somebody one of the founding members, what the deal was with the slash, and they were like, well, we wanted to get we originally kind of put it in because it was kind of nerdy, and then we just kept it for the same reason.
That is awesome. That's the best reason.
That's what I was like, okay, well, that's maybe the best possible reason to have a slash is to amp up the nerdification.
Thank you for doing this investigation for us.
Yeah, we gotta dig on the important things. So yeah, the Drive is an interesting conference because it's not because it's a CASE conference. There's a wide swath of folks that come, from really technical folks to folks who are maybe less technical but are in the data doing sort of program analysis on all the time. And then you've got also like fundraising management, fundraising operations type folks. So there's really a wide variety of people. But it really is I think the best conference if you're a serious data person for supporting fundraising. I will say this year there are lots of data visualization things on the schedule, including one data visualization super session, because so many folks put in things about Tableau that they were like, oh my gosh, we've got so much. So they kind of wrapped it up into a single 2-3 hour super session where we'll look at a whole bunch of dashboards of ways that folks are talking about, all their different kinds of data around fundraising. I went through and counted all these, and of the 25 sessions, I think like a fifth of them were data visualization focused. So if you are just specifically a data visualization person, you won't be sad. I'm trying to think what else I need to tell you. Obviously, it's at the end of March. It's in Washington, D.C., and the hotel is like 2 blocks from the Capitol Mall. So supposedly that's when the cherry blossoms are going to be blooming. So should be the right time to be in DC. Great. Thanks.
Thanks so much, Jake. Also, just so you guys know, I asked Jake to do this, like, I don't know, was it Friday? Friday afternoon, probably mid-afternoon. So I'm really grateful that he was willing to talk about it. So up next is Dana Primack from Thompson Rivers, who's going to be talking about the Society for College and University Planning Conference.
Thank you for that introduction. My name is Dana Primack, and I'm from Thompson Rivers University. I'm planning and foresight consultant here with the Department of Integrated Planning and Effectiveness. I am not associated with SCUP. I don't work for SCUP, but I have been connected with SCUP community since 2019 in various capacities. So I'll tell you a little bit about the ways I have been engaged. But before I get to that part, I also want to mention what is SCUP and what they do, just for those folks who might not be aware. So what is SCUP? SCUP is the Society for College and University Planning. It's really a community of practice that promotes the practice of integrated planning. If you're in the world of strategic planning, you might be familiar with that language. But really anything that touches strategic planning, SCUP is privy to that and supports that work with the goal to advance college and university work. And for those of you who might be a little bit newer to integrated planning, it's a sustainable approach to planning that builds relationships, supports resource allocation, and emphasizes preparedness for change of the organizations. So a little bit about my involvement with SCUP. As I mentioned, it was 2019 that I got engaged with SCUP originally. I have presented at SCUP before, had developed virtual campus tours with SCUP before. SCUP also offers planning institutes for folks who want to learn more about strategic planning, specifically integrated planning approach, and I have completed those as well, online and in person. And I highly recommend for anybody who is doing anything to do with strategic planning, no matter how small or how little on your campuses, whether it's pan-institutional or unit level, SCUP is an excellent resource. They also have emerging leaders programs, and I have taken advantage of those before. It's a year-long program, fantastic for people who are newer to strategic planning, no matter what kind of leader you are, whether you're a manager, you're an aspiring leader, or you're already far ahead in your career. That's a fantastic program to connect with peers. We also have engaged SCUP in coaching sessions before within my institution as well to support our pan-institutional planning projects, and that has been fantastic. And I'm currently also mentoring a SCUP fellow who's doing a project on strategic foresight as well, so I'm getting insight into how their fellowships work, but they also are very much focused on doing research in the strategic planning world and very much focused on innovation as well. My experience has been primarily shaped by annual conference attendance, but I do know that there is a lot of regional chapters and they do hold regional conferences all over the States. Where I come from in Canada, it's usually easier to get to the West Coast, so that's usually our preferred location. Sharing just a couple of things here on the slide. Planning Institute, one of the photos, couple of banners from the annual conference. SCUP also does campus tours when during the pandemic, the conferences have been primarily virtual, of course, but as soon as they resumed campus tours, in-person campus tours came back, and it's also another fascinating experience to go and see other institutions and ask questions. I primarily work in the field of strategic planning. I support strategic planning on my institution, so facilities is not necessarily something that I work with day to day, but I do help people connect those dots, and it's been really interesting to gain that new, fresh perspective of how to work with folks from different walks of life and from different areas of the institution. If you find yourself you're supporting in one way or another in some sort of capacity, one of these plans, SCUP is a perfect place for you to deepen your knowledge, to understand a little bit better how other people who come to shape these plans work together. And being the Tableau group, while I've seen some Tableau and other innovative tech solutions at SCUP conferences, it's really more about how the data we touch and share informs the decision making. An organization like SCUP really helps us as professionals to be a couple of steps ahead in terms of how we can really help people to understand the data through the tools such as Tableau. I don't want to take too much space, so I'm going to breeze through the slide. But as I was reflecting on this opportunity, and thanks, Andrew, for inviting me to speak from my attendee experience about my SCUP experience. But a couple of things I wanted to note. It's a very unique intersection of people who come to SCUP. Academics, finance, capital planning projects, institutional research, campus planner, facilities architects. It's a very unique array of people who come to SCUP. It initially started as campus planning architect organization, and then evolved eventually to include folks like you and I from institutional research and other areas and walks of institution. But it has definitely broadened the spectrum of the sessions they've been offering throughout the years. The diversity of the sessions is pretty impressive. Despite the diversity of folks who come to SCUP, there's something for everybody. I learned that over the years of attending SCUP conferences, and sometimes I find myself in the sessions that I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to walk away with anything from here, but then I learned something that I've never knew before, and I bring it back to my institution, and it works. Usually SCUP kicks off their conferences with planning institutes. So there are 3 of them: Foundation, Design, and Sustain. So that's happening at the start of the conference. So if you're planning to come and thinking about planning institute, that's an excellent opportunity to learn about those in person. And then your classic welcome reception, followed by the 2 days of full of conferences, campus tours, as I mentioned, which I would highly recommend. And it concludes with another planning institute offering session as well. Since you are the Tableau group, I wanted to mention that while Tableau and sort of the back end of how things could work is not the focus of this conversation, in the past, I have approached on numerous occasions multiple presenters and asked them about the how-tos and nitty-gritty of how things have been done. And everybody has been extremely generous in sharing their expertise and connecting with their IR teams, or if they were not the right person, they would always connect to somebody who would be that person in their institution. My personal experience, you always walk away with a list of resources and something you can share back with your team. We have done it on multiple occasions here at TRU, and it's always been well received. You also walk away with a number of connections with your peers. To this day, I have long-lasting working relationships that turned into friendships on many occasions with many partners down in the States and all over the world. It has been a great space to connect with the folks. And of course, organizations. SCUP does have connections with other organizations. They really try to promote the cross-functional collaboration. They do practice what they preach in terms of the integrated planning, relationship building, and strengthening those relationships. For example, last year at the conference, they also had a session with 2 other big organizations. One of them was NACIS, and another one, I keep forgetting the acronym, but I think it was the facilities-focused one. And they brought the 3 organizations together, and there was a great panel about it as well. In terms of the panels, I also wanted to mention, in terms of the accountability aspects, another intersection, a layer of intersections that SCUP is fantastic at, bringing the accreditation, DEI conversations, and weaving those in the conference content. They've been very proactive in that space, and always walk away with something that I never knew before. And they also have sort of like this large trade show like setup with other organizations. So if you're looking for vendors or anything like that, they also have big presence there. It's usually very rewarding just to be able to walk through during your breaks and connect with people who you might not even need to be connecting. And I think finally, my point about the opportunity for connection with other folks through conversations with people I come across. For example, I think the last time I was at the conference, I met somebody from Advancement and somebody else from Student Financial Aid Office. And it's about the conversations that you realize that you should be having on your campuses. And for whatever reason, sometimes they don't naturally occur. And then you go back after opportunities like this and talking to those people at conferences like SCUP, and you think about what they've shared with you, and you come back and you're like, I definitely need to be talking to somebody on my campus about this. So with that in mind, I don't want to take too much space. I'm not sure how much time I had or if I'm out of time, but I'm going to stop sharing and happy to answer any questions if there are any.
So if anyone has questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. In the meantime, we're going to continue on our tour of conferences and talk about putting on some airs.
Hey everybody, I'm Andrew Drinkwater. I'm from Plaid Analytics and I'm one of the organizers at the Higher Education Tableau user group. My thanks to Dana and Tasha for joining the presentation as well. I invited earlier. So I just wanted to really briefly mention the Association for Institutional Research. It's a national and international organization focused on professionals working in domains like institutional research, institutional effectiveness, assessment planning, and those who are trying to build and support data-informed cultures, which I think would include an awful lot of people who are joining us here today. So the upcoming national conference for AIR is called the AIR Forum, and it's May 28th to 31st in Denver, Colorado. They've also posted 3 years worth of locations, which is always nice. So in 2025, they'll be in Orlando, Florida, and 2026 in Washington, D.C. I've attended AIR both as an attendee and as a sponsor, but most recently as a sponsor. And what I can say last year when we were in Cleveland is that I found it was a really interesting way to connect with other people who are working in the institutional research space and learn about the kinds of things that they're trying to change, trying to improve, and how data can inform the conversations around the effectiveness and efficiency of the institution. So for me, that was the part that really stood out. It's also a fun group to hang out with. The social events are always great, and catching up with people is awesome. And people put on a good show with their presentations. I find I always walk away with a couple of tidbits that I can use in my own work or bring back to my institution. So with that, I will turn it over to Ginny to talk about AIR's affiliated organizations and regional and state groups.
Thanks, Andrew. Since Andrew mentioned the national level of the Association for Institutional Research, we thought we should also mention the regional and state levels, because most of you, if you're planning on going to one of these IR conferences, may not be able to afford the registration or the travel to go to the AIR conference. It's huge, and the price tag matches that. But then there are your regional conferences, like in my region, it's the SARE conference, the Southern Association of Institutional Research, which is taking place in Atlanta, Georgia from September 28th through October 1st. And in my state, I'll be attending the NCARE conference, which is the North Carolina Association for Institutional Research, from April 7th through the 9th in Winston-Salem. The theme this year is institutional innovation, and I'm really excited about that. So another one I wanted to highlight is the Florida Association of Institutional Research, which is FAIR, unfortunately not FLAIR. They're actually having a virtual conference on the 23rd of February, which is only, I believe, $25 to register for. So that's something worth considering. That's usually fits within just about anybody's budget. And as far as I know, registrations are still open for that. Forgive me for the chickens in the background. They might be getting a little antsy because the sun's out and they've been dealing with rain for so many days now. So in addition to the state and regional AIR conferences, I wanted to mention Analytics Day as well. So Analytics Day, we don't have a date set for it yet. We know it's happening in June this year. Registration will open in early April, as will the call for proposals. This is a really great opportunity for anyone to present. All the presentations are really short and sweet, anywhere from 5 to 20 minutes. So you can do something that's just like a little tip or trick, or you can do something that's more of a full-fledged presentation. It's totally up to you. I do have, yes, Roshi's right. We are sticklers for timing. We start around 8:30 in the morning and we go until about 4:30 in the afternoon, and it is bam, 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 bam all day long. It is a really fun day though. Roshni, there's also a link on the slide that you can share in the chat if anyone would like to scan the QR code or click on this link, and you can sign up to get updates. This is not the same as registering for Analytics Day. It is just giving me your email so that I'm sure to send you updates when they are available. That would include registration opening, the website being launched, announcements about speakers, the call for proposals, anything like that. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss a single thing, go ahead and get on the email list now. And if you don't want to sign up for the email list, just watch the HETUG Slack page and attend future HETUG meetings, and we'll make all the announcements there as well.
Great.
Yeah, if you have any questions, hit me up in the chat.
Thank you, Ginny. And with that, we have completed our tour of all of the conferences, every single one of them.
Oh, I think you may have forgotten one, Roshni.
Oh,
It's
did
a very Tableau-centric one.
Oh, right. Tableau conference, and welcome Lisa Trescott, past Tableau conference attendee, Iron Viz winner, and all around amazing person who shares her tips and tricks with us all the time and her puns, and who's here to talk about Tableau conference.
Thank you for that lovely introduction. So, what is Tableau Conference, or TC, or if you're on social media, you'll hear it called Data 24. So Tableau Conference is, it's very different than any higher ed conference you've probably been to. Before I had gone to TC, I'd been working in nonprofits and in the public sector my whole career and was used to the very standard format of a conference. You go to breakout sessions, you go to keynotes, maybe you go to a Mixer, and that's it. And those conferences are wonderful and fantastic, and I've always learned a lot from them. But Tableau Conference is not that. It's very different. I like to kind of think of it as a data playground. And in fact, one year they actually had a playground set up. They had swing sets and a slide and a ball pit all in the middle of the conference. So it's just kind of this, as you're seeing from the pictures, this colorful, vibrant event. There's music playing everywhere. There are people excited about data everywhere. It's just a really fun atmosphere to learn and connect with people using Tableau, not just in higher ed, but across all industries. And I'm actually going to play a promo video that they put out last year for TC23, just to kind of give you an idea of the vibe of the conference. So you can ignore the dates at the end, because like I said, it's for last year, but I don't think they have the 2024 video available quite yet.
Solution is on.
Yes.
There is no other opportunity like this.
So many interesting things to learn or see or do here.
I've never seen anything like it.
Welcome to Iron Viz Stadium. We are going to have an amazing time.
Okay, so after 3 tries, hopefully that gives you a sense of kind of the energy at TC, that it's not your kind of typical conference that you've attended before. There is something going on all of the time. So what exactly is there to do? First and foremost, you're going to learn a lot. There are hundreds of breakout sessions ranging in topics, again, not just in higher ed, but across all industries, across multiple topics. There's also hands-on training where there are Tableau certified trainers who run sessions on specific topics and give you kind of step-by-step guidance, things like table calcs or LODs or tool tips, whatever. There's tons of different topics. There's also live community projects. So like Makeover Monday or Workout Wednesday, where they will give you a data set in the session and you kind of work through it in a group format. And then they usually have people present out, whoever wants to, at the end. And then there's Tableau Doctor. So if you have something that you're having trouble with, you can't figure out, you have tech issues that you want to troubleshoot with someone from Tableau, you can sign up for a Tableau Doctor session. There's also lots of opportunities to connect with people. So there are community meetups where maybe, everyone in higher ed will, there'll be a time on the schedule, a time and place on the schedule where everyone in higher ed can come and meet up and chat about data and Tableau and just meet each other and chat. They also have things called brain dates where you can kind of put out to all the conference attendees, on the conference app and say, who wants to talk to me about, insert a topic. And then people will sign up to just come and chat with you. And then there's just networking in kind of the general sense. There's lots of opportunities for that. And not just with other conference attendees, but there's also a lot of Tableau and Salesforce partners and executives. Last year, Ryan Ate, the CEO of Tableau, was just kind of meandering around the conference. So you kind of never know who you're going to be able to network and meet with. And then, of course, have fun. So there is fun to be had all over the place at TC. Every year, my husband asks, are you going for work or are you going for fun? And the answer is both, because there is a ton of fun at this conference. The Data Village is kind of the heart of the conference. They have lots of vendors and partners. There are community project booths. You can pick up tons of data swag and pins. They have a photo booth usually in there. That's where they set up that playground with the ball pit. There's usually an event on the first night. It's kind of like a welcome with food and drink and entertainment. So that's always kind of like the fun hub of the conference. Of course, there's also Iron Viz, which, if you're not familiar, is the nerdiest competition I think that has ever existed, which I can say, because Arshni said, I was in Iron Viz, so I'm not throwing shade at anyone. But basically, 3 people create a viz in 20 minutes in front of a live audience, and it is just, it's a spectacle. Like, there are glow sticks and there's fog and lasers, and it's just really fun and high energy, silly time. And then after Iron Viz, it's usually followed by Data Night Out, which is just a giant party. In previous years, it's been at the pool area at, the MGM in Vegas or the Palms Casino. It was at the Superdome when they had it in New Orleans, where so they'll have like live bands. One year they had a drag show. There's games, there's food, drink. Like I said, it's just a big party with a bunch of data nerds. So when is this nutty conference? It is running from 3 days, from April 29th to May 1st. And there's also an additional optional 2-day add-on at the end. So if you could do like a Tableau boot camp at the end, I think, again, with like Tableau certified trainers, which is totally optional. And this is just a kind of, I pulled this off their website. This is just a high level overview of what's going on each of the days. And where is this conference this year? It is none other than San Diego, which I am super ecstatic about because that is where I live. So no travel for me. And registration for this conference is open now. It is not cheap. So I think the early bird pricing is like $15.50, and that runs out, I believe, at the end of this month. So it is not a cheap conference. It's a pretty hefty price tag. If you are at a public college or university, there's an additional discount that I don't really think they advertise. It's like just over $1,000 if you're at a public institute. So it's still expensive, even if you are public, especially when you factor in travel and hotels and per diem. So you might be asking yourself, is there a virtual option? Well, kind of. On Salesforce Plus, they will stream some of the sessions. Their website says they'll have 20 plus streaming sessions, and they're usually like the high demand sessions, like think like the Flare Lash Twins, like they're always on Salesforce Plus, and the keynotes are on there, and then usually Iron Viz. So there is a free virtual option, but it is a very truncated version of the conference. So if you want the full experience, please come visit me in San Diego. I know you didn't think I was going to leave without doing at least one pun, but in all seriousness, I really hope you do come out. It's a great time. It's fun. You learn a lot, and you get to see a lot of stuff in Tableau that you probably have never been introduced to before. So thanks for having me come chat about TC.
Thanks, Lisa. Sorry, we almost kind of forgot you. We really didn't, though.
It's okay.
All right. So next up was supposed to be me talking about pre-attentive attributes. But if you didn't notice, we talked about conferences a wee bit longer than we actually thought we were going to, because there are so many higher ed conferences out there in the world. So I will be back next month in our tips and tricks session to talk about pre-attentive attributes. And that leads us into what is next. So up next, we want to remind you to please let us know what you thought of today's session. I'm about to put the link into the chat right now. We use whatever feedback you give us to help plan future events, find speakers, and things like that. Don't forget to register for the March 12th, 2024 HETUG meeting. Oh, there's a space missing there. Typos, they're all over this file. Whoops. So we are going to meet Jim Gibbon from Princeton. Like I said, I threw myself in there as a tips and tricks because we didn't have anyone before, but now we do. And we're also going to see a unique take on using Tableau with Lindsay Myers and John Varadarjan. I totally messed up your name. I'm sorry, John. From Vanderbilt. They're going to talk about how they used Tableau Prep and to get visualizations into peer-reviewed publications, what that process looked like, and some lessons they learned in the process. So the last thing, actually, there's a couple more things on this slide. If you want to present, if you want to be spotlighted in our Meet a Community member session or segment, or have a tip or trick to share, if you want to present like a full-fledged presentation, whatever it is, if you have an idea, we want to hear about it. If you go to the URL that we posted in the chat and just fill out our speaker interest form, we'll get back to you. And then finally, tomorrow for Valentine's Day, there's lots of love in the air. So Danny Steinmetz from Interworks, Kimberly Coots, and Lisa Trescott from Miracosta, who you just heard from, are going to talk about level of detail expressions, or LODs, at the California Community College's HETUG. Again, that's tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, if I remember correctly. The link is somewhere in the chat, and I'm about to throw it in there one more time. But you can also just go to usergroups.tableau.com, and it is either the first or second session highlighted on that page, because probably one of the next ones up. And with that, thank you to everyone who presented, who talked to us about conferences. I was at one point going to try to go through the whole list, and let's see if my memory is actually good enough to remember all of this. So thank you, Justin, for being our Meet a Community member. Thank you to Tasha and Dave and Jeff for speaking about EDUCAUSE and HEDW. Thank you for Donna about talking about the Society for Community College, for College and University Planning Conference. Ginny and Andrew for talking about AIR, FAIR, and all of the variations. Jake from Berkeley for talking about Case Drive. Baron from University of Kentucky on the Re-Summit. Ginny for talking about Analytics Day. And Lisa for talking about TableauConf. Did I get everyone? I think I might have. That's it for the day. And thank you for all of you for attending. We hope that you can stick around for our breakout sessions that will start in just a moment.